Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a college related video, which I missed doing because last summer I pretty much dedicated myself to college themed videos, and I feel like I haven't done one in a really long time. So I'm actually taking a request. I can't remember who requested it, but someone requested that I do a video on things that I think are essential to have in your dorm, and then things that I took and maybe realized that I didn't really need. And I feel like that this is a good idea for a video because a lot of people probably end up taking a lot of things that aren't actually necessary to have, and usually in a dorm your space is small and you shouldn't take up room with things you don't actually need. So the first things I want to talk about are the things that I think are essential to have in your dorm, things that I took or things that I ended up getting later on that I feel like I used every day and I wouldn't have been able to live without. So the first thing that I want to talk about is a clip-on fan, and you could replace this with a floor fan, but I wanted to specifically mention a clip-on fan because I feel like they are super handy. One, to give you air in the middle of the night, because usually dorms control the temperature, you don't get to control it yourself, and it can get kind of hot when they have the heat going. So it's really nice to have a fan up by your bed so that you can turn it on in the middle of the night and sleep more comfortably. And the second reason is for noise, because usually if you're sleeping on a dorm campus, there's going to be a lot of vehicles outside at all hours of the night pretty much. I know that's the case for my college. So like a fan up by your head kind of gives you a little bit of noise to sleep to, and it like drowns out the other sounds. So having a fan clipped on my bed like right beside me in the middle of the night was something that I used every night that I stayed in the dorm, and it was just really essential for me to have. The next thing is a step ladder, and this might not be essential for everyone. If you're super tall and you're pretty confident that you can reach pretty much everything in your dorm, then you probably don't need this. But I know for me, a step ladder was something that I literally used every day because I had raised my bed so that I could fit things underneath it, and I would use my step ladder to get up on my bed. And I could have just jumped, but it was handy just to have my step ladder I left it out pretty much all the time, and I would leave it sitting there so that I could get up on my bed. And then also we stored a lot of stuff up on top of our armoires, which were pretty high up, and I'm not that short. I mean, I'm like 5'5", but I can't reach up there, especially to the main back. I couldn't reach to the main back. I could reach the front, but I feel like we used our step ladder a lot more than I thought we would. I thought we would just use it when we moved in for decorating, but we used it pretty much every day that we stayed in the dorm. So any kind of step ladder, like the fold-out ones that are plastic you get at the dollar store. I had a metal one, which I would say is a little bit more sturdy because we actually broke a plastic one at one point living in the dorm, but the metal one really withstood us using it every day, and I don't think they're super expensive. I'd spray painted mine gold, so it was kind of cute and went with the room, but it was really handy to have. Now the next thing is something that I didn't actually have going into the dorm, and my roommate did, and I would watch her use it, and then I ended up borrowing it like every now and then, and I would always have to ask her, "Haley, do you care if I borrow this?" And I felt bad, so I ended up getting my own. I mean, it's not something expensive, but it's wrinkle release spray, and it's basically just a spray that you can spray on your clothes, kind of stretch them out a little bit, and it like takes the wrinkles out. I don't know how it works, it's just pretty much magic. But I'd say I went through 2 like large size bottles of this. You can get it at the Dollar General, Family Dollar. I would say you can get it at Walmart. I always just get the Dollar General brand, and it's just called like wrinkle release spray, and you just can put your like shirt or something on a hanger. You spray it with this the night before you go to bed, kind of stretch it out, leave it overnight, and when you wake up, it's pretty much wrinkle free. And I mean, you could iron, but you're not going to iron in college, or at least I know that me and my roommate didn't bring out the iron ever. We never ironed our clothes because, I mean, you're in a hurry usually always in college, I feel like. So having that spray to just kind of spritz really quick, stretch it out, get the wrinkles out, and be good to go was like really handy, and it's like $2 and would last like 3 months probably. So that was something that I didn't actually have at first, but my roommate introduced me to, and it was super handy to have. The next thing is a toolkit, which is something you might think of, but I don't know if I would have thought of it. My dad actually made me up like a little compact toolkit and insisted that I take it, and I didn't think I was going to need it, but I feel like a toolkit is something that will really come in handy just for random things during the year. A toolkit is handy to have. I just had like a small screwdriver, wire pliers, things like that, just small tools, nothing like major or anything, but it was handy to have that. The next thing is a calendar, and I am a firm believer in agendas, but I'm talking like a calendar that you can hang on the wall. And the reason for this is so that you and your roommate can keep up with each other's schedules, and this was like such a good idea for my roommate and I. We bought a big wall calendar, we put it on the back of our door, we each wrote in our schedules, and so at any point in the day if I needed to get a hold of her, or I just wanted to know when she was going to be back to the dorm or what she was doing, I could look at the schedule and see where she was at. Or if an emergency happened, you would probably want to know where your roommate is, or if something happened, just where you needed to get a hold of them. I feel like that is a really important and handy thing. Me and my roommate were lucky enough to know each other really well and be best friends moving in. But if you didn't know your roommate, I think that this would be a really handy thing. Have their phone number and have their schedule just in case something happened, maybe to their stuff or in your dorm building, maybe a fire alarm or something like that. I think it would be really, really handy to have their schedule. So that worked out really, really well for us. The next thing is kind of a cleaning product, and that is Clorox wipes. And we pretty much use Clorox wipes to clean our entire room. We would clean our desks with it, our walls with it, we would dust with it, we would wipe, like if we spilled something on the floor, we would clean it up with the Clorox wipes. I mean, they really, really came in handy. I mean, you also need Windex for cleaning mirrors and stuff, but besides that, I feel like Clorox wipes are definitely the way to go to clean like basically any other surface in a dorm room. So I would definitely suggest having those in your cleaning supplies. The next thing is something that I didn't think of, my mom thought of, and I'm sure a lot of people do have this, and you could just run out to the store, but it's really, really, really handy to have a like little first aid kit. We just put a bunch of stuff in a bag and sent it with me. In mine, I had like cold medicine, throat drops, ibuprofen, Tylenol, stuff for a fever, and that did come in handy. I actually got sick while I was at school, and instead of trying to run out to the store while I was sick and feeling bad and in the bed, I had my medicine right there. Sometimes your roommate might need something, and then she had a first aid kit as well, so we both kind of had each other covered. One thing that I think I should have brought and I didn't end up having was a thermometer, and she actually did have a thermometer, so we would sanitize hers and she would let me use it, which was really nice because I mean we already knew each other. But I would take your own thermometer, because if you do get in a position where you are really sick and you feel that you need to go to the doctor, you can have that there to check your fever to see if you are running a fever, if you're contagious. But I did have a lot of medicine and stuff, and that came in really handy, but I would say I would add a thermometer to that. But just having a first aid kit made up of Band-Aids and some medicine is something that I would definitely suggest. And the last thing I want to mention is something that you might not think of, but that was really, really handy for my roommate and I, and that was slip-on house shoes and a robe. And the reason being, we had a community bathroom, so we had to go out in the hallway to get to the bathroom to go to shower or do anything like that. So having a robe to throw on over your pajamas and just little shoes to slip on was really, really handy. And then also we had tile floor, and although we did have a rug, just being able to put on house shoes and walk around and feel a little bit more homey was really good, because that floor gets super cold and also it just gets dirty. That's inevitable. We would clean every week, but you're going to get dust and dirt in the floor, and putting on house shoes would keep your feet clean so you didn't track that into the bed. And then having that robe to wear to the bathroom was really, really handy, and especially in case of a fire drill, being able to throw on a robe over your pajamas is really handy. Now for some things that I ended up not needing, and I think I just wanted to explain the reasons that I didn't need them, and this might help you in deciding if you need these things. The first thing that I found that I did not need, and I feel like a lot of people take, and it might be more of a necessity to some, but that is a TV. And the reason being, one, it takes up more space than what it's worth, I feel like. if you have a computer with you, you can pretty much watch anything that you want to watch. I know in my case, I'm more of a Netflix watcher. I don't really watch TV shows, but I watch like YouTube or Netflix or anything on my computer, and I'm just not someone who watches TV a lot. And TVs are expensive. I mean, if you don't have one just to take with you, I wouldn't recommend going out and buying one before you go to college. First, maybe go and just use your computer for a little bit and see if you actually need one, because I think you might find that if you're not someone who's addicted to TV, that you might not end up needing one. So that was a big thing for me, which my roommate actually brought the TV. It was hers, but she is a TV watcher. She likes to fall asleep to TV and things like that, which is totally fine. It doesn't bother me. I'm just not someone who requires it. But we ended up using ours, but I would say it just wasn't a necessity. We probably could have just used our computers for Netflix, like what we use the TV for. Another thing, and I hate to say this because this is so bad for the environment, and I actually took a class like on sustainability this semester, which makes me a little bit more conscious of this, but I'm just being honest with you guys. So something that I think that I took that was unnecessary was reusable bowls and cups and things like that, and plates, because like I said, we had a community restroom, so going to wash your dishes was an ordeal. It wasn't something that you could just do right there. You have to pack all of them to the community restroom, and there are no room around the sink to sit your stuff. So I mean, unless there's an open sink next to you, you don't have anywhere to sit it down. And I feel like we just ended up opting for paper plates, styrofoam bowls, and like disposable forks and stuff more often than we would reach for the other things. So I feel like that we ended up having like a lot of extra bowls and stuff like that that actually never got used. So I would recommend just kind of using paper plates and stuff, unless you plan to cook and eat a lot of food in your dorm, which we didn't do. I mean, we would eat out or eat things that didn't have to be cooked. You could just put them on a paper plate, like sandwiches and things like that. But unless you cook a lot, then I would say just kind of go for paper plates and bowls. Another thing, and I hate to say this, it pains me to say this, is don't take too much makeup. If you're a makeup wearer and you love makeup, I totally understand the need to like take everything you have, and you want options for a smoky eye, and you want options for this and options for that. But in reality, I never used that stuff. I needed one neutral eyeshadow palette. Usually I would take a trio or something super simple that I didn't have to think about. I needed one foundation, one concealer, one powder, you know, just like one of everything, and super simple stuff. I didn't need false lashes. I didn't need all these things that you think you might end up needing. The reality in college is that usually, like I said earlier, you're rushing to do everything. I feel like that everything you do, you're on a schedule in college, and you're not going to have time really to just sit down and do a full out smoky eye makeover, or at least I know I didn't. So I would say pare down your makeup to the least amount possible, and stuff that you know works well for you, and that you can do fast, and you can do a full face with like just a few things. And then the last thing I wanted to mention as far as things that you don't need, and that is a Wallflower, which is like a Bath & Body Works plug-in air freshener. And this also applies to any kind of plug-in air freshener, because what I found was that one, that just takes up room in the outlet, and two, we use room spray so much more than we would use a plug-in air freshener, because we never hardly replace the bulbs, and you can't even really smell it. So especially taking up an outlet, you can't hardly afford to do that in college, because I feel like you always need every outlet pretty much. But I would just recommend getting a few really good smelling room sprays, and that way you can actually smell it, and you're not taking up outlet space, and you're not taking a chance on a fire with a plug-in air freshener. So that was just my last thing I wanted to mention that I found that we didn't really need. So that's everything I have to say for things that I feel like you really need, and then some things that I could have done without. But someone else had commented on a video, and I believe, I can't remember exactly what they said. I think they said something along the lines of maybe share with us like what you need like to get out the door to go to class, or like what you wear to go to class, or things like that. So I thought I would just quickly kind of talk about that, because I don't think I have enough on this subject to talk about in a completely other video. But I wanted to quickly mention, like, I did say that I don't take a lot of makeup. So the first thing I would do is get up, go brush my teeth, use the bathroom, come back in. I would throw on like a foundation that was pretty good coverage so I didn't have to fool around with concealer, spot concealer, and things like that. So I would do a good, like, fullish medium coverage foundation. I would do very simple eye look, if any eyeshadow whatsoever, and if not, I would just throw on mascara, and usually a tinted lip balm and a little bit of bronzer and like an eyebrow gel, and do my eyebrows. And that was like enough for me to get out the door and feel confident. So I just do whatever I feel the need to do to feel good about myself. I wasn't trying to do like an awesome makeup routine, but just something to look decent and look alive, you know, and like awake. So that's what I would do for makeup. And then my outfits for class usually depended upon what time of day my class was. This past semester, my classes were kind of staggered. So on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I didn't have classes until a little bit later in the day. And then Tuesday, Thursdays, I had an 8 a.m. So on the days where I had classes later in the day, I would usually take the time to throw on jeans and maybe a cute shirt or just a cute t-shirt, either one. I really like to have a lot of Simply Southern t-shirts and like Southern Marsh, just cute preppy t-shirts that I feel like are cute enough for me to feel good in wearing them to class. And then also like long sleeve Spirit jerseys and sweatshirts during the winter time. But on those days where I had class later in the evening, sometimes I would dress a little bit cuter. I mean, nothing like fancy. I would keep it casual, like jeans and a cuter top and some flip-flops or boots or something like that. But then on the mornings where I had at 8 a.m., I have to say that I did not worry about what I was wearing to class. I would usually throw on leggings and like a long t-shirt or a long Spirit jersey, long sweatshirt, something like that. So that's kind of my outfits. I feel like that's any college student, so I don't really want to go through like showing everything because it's just really casual, comfortable things that, like I said, are easy to throw together and that don't get wrinkled very easily. I feel like were the pieces that I would reach for a lot. And then the shoes that I really recommend having is, one, during the summer you need a comfortable pair of flip-flops. At first I would try to wear cute flip-flops, and that's just miserable. If you're walking to class and you're walking a really long way, you want something comfortable. So I would recommend like Tevas, or a lot of people like Chacos, or some type of something that is just comfortable on your feet. Make sure it's comfortable for you. I got a lot of use out of the shoes that I showed in a past video, or a video that's going up next. I don't know when it's been posted yet, but they're like a Birkenstock knockoff. I was trying to combine that into one word just then, but they were super comfortable and I wore those a ton. And then I also have a pair of Nike flip-flops, which I got a ton of use out of. And then for the winter, my best investment ever for anything to do with college were my LL Bean boots. Snow, rain, anything that have good traction, super comfortable, and I probably wore those like every day during the winter time. So I would definitely recommend checking into those if they're your style and you think that you might want them, because they were really worth the expense, and I'll definitely get to use them again this next winter because they look brand new still. So that's kind of my tips on outfits and how I got out the door for class. And then I also recommend having a really nice backpack. I did a what's in my backpack, which I will link down below, and I have an Under Armour backpack. You want one that's water resistant, because if it rains, your papers and your books will get destroyed. I experienced this, and that's what made me go buy that backpack. It's not like the cutest ever, and it's super sporty, which isn't like necessarily my style, but it's fun and it's a comfortable backpack to carry. So I recommend trying to carry a backpack instead of like a tote bag or something, just because it's a little bit more practical. Even though it might not be that cute, it works a lot better and you'll probably thank yourself later. And then the last thing I want to talk about is having a lanyard with like a picture ID thing on it. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but it's like a slot, you know, you can put your ID in. I would really recommend having one of those just so that you can throw your keys on, or just so that if they're in your backpack you can find that lanyard and pull it out, because I feel like usually in college you always need your student ID. So having that lanyard with my student ID on it was something that was super handy for me, and I would put my dorm key on it, my student ID, and a little bit of money, and all I had to do was make sure I had that before I left the dorm, and it would keep me from walking myself out, and make sure that I had money for the day if I just had that one thing. So that was really handy for me as well. So I feel like that's everything I have to talk about in this college video. If you have more college related suggestions, leave them down below because I really love college related videos. It's such a big part of my life, and anybody that is in college right now, I'm sure it's such a big part of your life, and I feel like just sharing tips with each other is so handy. So if you have more suggestions about college themed videos, let me know down below. I would love to do those. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. That just helps me out, and also make sure and subscribe to my channel. It's free. It's right down here somewhere. Just click it and you'll be notified when I upload new videos, and I would really appreciate that. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in my next one. Bye.